Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Nelson Musumanakape, and I'm here to give you a short presentation on the implementation of sustainable facilities management through digitization. I am based in Botswana, and just to give you a background of my specialization, I specialize in facilities management. I specialize in real estate agency as well as property technology. I'm currently doing my doctorate degree in real estate as well from the University of Its. I hope you enjoyed the short presentation, and I trust that you will have some key takeaways that you also will be able to implement in your facilities management endeavor. Now I'm just going to share a screen of the presentation. Right, there we go. Now, as I mentioned, we're looking at the digitization in facilities management and how to implement it to sustain the facilities management sector in the built environment. Before we jump into the nitty-gritties, we first need to have an understanding what sustainable facilities management is. So, sustainable rather facilities management refers to systems and processes that aim to improve the sustainability of operational performance of facilities. Now, this is a basic description and definition. We'll be looking more into how digitization can be incorporated in sustaining facilities management during this presentation. Now, what are the benefits of SFM? Firstly, the alignment of corporate sustainability strategies. This is very important to corporates that operate in facilities management, in the facilities management space, rather. Therefore, they're looking at aligning corporate strategies and making them sustainable. Next up, we have the environmental consciousness. It's very important for our industry, the built environment, as well as any other industry, to be environmentally conscious nowadays. We're looking at things such as climate change. We're looking at having to do the environmental assessments to make sure that we achieve SFM. We also need to, through sustainable facilities management, we can reduce running and operational costs, which is usually the primary priority of facilities management companies. Reducing running and operational costs definitely does improve the revenue that will be coming through facilities management. We're also looking at improving workspace comfort and productivity, which is one of my favorite benefits of SFM. If we have occupants who are working in a space of comfort and productivity, then definitely they will reach the highest level of productivity, which will be beneficial to the company and the organization that is occupying the space. And finally, SFM minimizes health and safety hazards, which are quite important, especially in this day and age of COVID-19. We'll just take a look at how this will be achieved through digitization. Now, we have three main pillars of sustainable buildings. The first one is economic, the second one is environmental, and the third one is social benefits. Now, when we look at economics, we're looking at the economy, the macro economy, rather than the micro economy. And when we're looking at the macro economy, we're looking at things such as the space and infrastructure and how developments are sustainable, can be sustained rather through facilities management. And the second one, we're looking at the environment. As I've mentioned, the ecological criteria is very important. We need to consider environmental assessment, we need to consider climate change and other issues that can affect the environment through facilities management. And thirdly, it's the social benefits, how society will reap the benefits of sustainable buildings. We were primarily focusing on the people and organizations that will be occupying the facilities management and also the society. You know, the better a facility is, the more a society can benefit in terms of aesthetics as well as ensuring that the environment is also properly properly taken care of. So if you can see, these three pillars are actually interlinked. We have the ecological criteria, the social criteria, and the ecological criteria as well. There are sustainable aspects in facilities management, and they are four. Now, the first one is planning. We're looking at how facility management starts. We're looking at the whole journey from start to end. We plan on what we would like a facility to be, who we're targeting, and the kind of building that we're envisioning. Moving on from that, we have the designing phase. Now, the designing phase is obviously when we get together a team um, that will be involved in the designing and the construction of the facility. With that said, we'll be moving on to the construction, which is the actual build-up of the facility. And finally, it's the building usage and the occupancy, which is, I think, in my opinion, the most important aspect. And this is the success of building usage and occupancy is really determined by the planning, designing, and construction phase. Now, the SFM framework ensures that there's sustainability in all aspects, from planning to building management. The processes are linked to ensure efficiency and effectiveness. Now, our focus is digitization and technology. And our focus is to highlight how the introduction of digitization and technology can improve the effectiveness and the efficiency of FM sustainability from life cycle, which is from the planning to the building management, as previously mentioned in the previous slide. Now, if we can look at the diagram on the left, as mentioned, the processes are linked. We can start from the context phase. This is where we're contextualizing what it is that we'd like to achieve. From then on, we move on to the assessment and the strategy. We assess the land that we'd like to develop on. We assess the environmental impact, and from there we can strategize on how we would like the facility development to actually come to fruition. Through the strategy, we have to take into consideration policy, users, capacity, and technology. Now, when we look at policies, we're looking at policies that are set by the government. We're looking at policies that are set by the Ministry of Lands, and how we need to adhere to those to make sure that we are actually developing something that is within the framework that the government has set out for developers. And the users is very important. When we're looking at facilities, we need to consider who we are targeting. For example, a facility such as a hospital won't function as a school, it won't function as a tertiary institution, for example. So if we're looking at developing a hospital, we need to take into consideration who our users are and how we can make their occupancy better, efficient, and effective, as well as comfortable. Capacity refers to how many occupants we're looking to accommodate in the facility. If we're looking at, say, for example, a six floor building, we obviously anticipate much more occupants rather than when we're looking at a two-floor facility. So we need to take into consideration the capacity and how many occupants we're envisioning. Now we're coming into technology, which is what this presentation really is about: technology and digitization. How are we going to implement technology and digitization rather into SFM? From these four strategies, we'll be able to measure the sustainability performance, and we'll keep on monitoring how it has been developing, how it has been carried out. And if you can see, monitoring always goes back to assessment. So it's always a linkage. After we are done with the sustainability performance, we constantly have to monitor, go back to assessment, check out our strategy, and ensure that the policy and the users and the capacity and technology are all satisfied, and it just becomes a loop that facility managers have to keep on looking into. There are 5 classic FM fingers, and I'll just go into this rather quickly. We have the building portfolio, we have the maintenance and operations, and we have the organization service. Now, if we look at the building portfolio, we're looking at the right buildings in the right place. We cannot, for example, put a hospital in the middle of the CBD unless it is correctly designed for that. And we cannot put, say, an FM building in a residential area. So the right buildings in the right places is a necessity. Now, the maintenance and operations is the right of use of facilities and buildings, and this is usually what facilities managers need to focus on, maintaining and making sure that the occupants of the building are satisfied and the occupancy is providing operation efficiency. Now, when we look at organizational services, we're looking at the provision of optimal services to the building occupants. And in a way, I would say organizational services is interlinked to maintenance and operations. So the more maintenance and smooth operations that we have, the more the organizational service will be optimal. And finally, we have, no, not finally, this is our fourth one, our fourth FM finger. We have management. This is the management of the building facility. This is where the facility managers come into play and ensure that the facility is running at an optimal level and occupants are satisfied and efficiency and effectiveness is top of their priority. And last of all, we have the space management, the optimal usage of the facilities and buildings. This is ensuring that the occupants have the optimal usage of the facilities. So facilities managers are in a position where they need to satisfy the occupants and ensure that space management is taken into consideration to optimize the usage of the facility and the building. Now we're going to delve into the digital aspect of SFM, and we're going to be looking at the digital maturity levels. That's 5 digital maturity levels, which is the alignment of corporate strategies, alignment of corporate strategy, sustainability strategies, environmental consciousness, reduction of running and operational cost, improving workspace comfort and productivity, as well as minimizing health and safety hazards. These were previously covered in the previous slides. Now we're just going to add the digital aspect of it into it. Now, digital maturity level is explained as the effect of tactical and strategical, as well as operational levels. Now, if we look at digital maturity levels, there are 4 of them. We have data establishing, fragmented processes supporting, integrated process supporting, as well as strategy and process supporting. They are characteristics, strategic effect, as well as tactical and operational effects and risks involved in digital maturity. We're first going to have a look at the data establishing. The primary focus is on collecting and cleansing data. IT systems are used as data containers and do not necessarily support specific processes. And the simple overview is generating management information is created. Now, when we are collecting and establishing data, this is when we can generate management information, transfer the data into information. There are no tactical and operational effects that have been mentioned, but the risks that are involved is that there's a low degree of focus on what data is actually needed to support processes, and data granularity actually becomes too high. The second one is a fragmented process supporting. The characteristics of this level is individual work processes are digitized. Each IT system only supports one process and data is not exchanged between processes. The strategic effects for both this and actually the third data maturity level, which is integrated process supporting, is static for the occasion, which is the creation of strategic management information. We need to increase in efficiency, improve effectiveness, and improve output for individual processes. And finally, the risks that are associated with fragmented processes supporting is different proprietary IT systems are introduced. And this obviously requires training and knowledge of how to maneuver through these systems. There will be a low degree of interoperability, sorry about that, I got a little tongue-tied, between IT systems. If we're going to take a look at the integrated process supporting, as well as the strategy and process support, the characteristics of these two maturity levels, and the last is the groups of processes are digitized. Now, this is actually what comes into the digitization phase of sustainable FM. Groups of processes are digitized, and each IT system supports several processes. Data is exchanged between the processes through these three maturity levels. If we look at the strategic effects of the strategy and process support, we have dynamic and continuous creation and analysis of strategic management information. The strategic effect of integrated process supporting has already been touched on as it shares the same effects as the second maturity level. Now, if we look at the tactical and operational effects, an overview of groups of processes is created. An additional increase in effectiveness, improvement in effectiveness, and improvement in output. Now, finally, if we take a look at the risk associated with level 3 and 4, complexity of integrated IT systems can be high, and there's too much focus on creating management information, reduction in resources allocated for digital support of the processes. There are certain technologies that are used in FM, and I believe this will now be the implementation of the digitization that we have been mentioning. The first one, data establishing. We obviously need to establish the data that we need. Technologies are used to establish the digital basis that is a prerequisite for operating facilities using digital technologies. Now examples of technology and digital products and services that can assist with these are CAD, BIM, and GIS. We are looking at establishing a digital basis that is required for operating facilities using digital technologies. And this is how digitalization comes into play in data establishing. Second, of the process supporting, technologies supporting specific operational related work processes, and examples of technology and digital products that can assist with these are CAFM systems. Now, when we reach the use data collecting portion, the technologies used to collect data about the use of facilities and for supporting the use of facilities. An example is sensors. If we look at facility buildings rather, we'll notice that there are quite a number of sensors that go on and off just to manage movement, for example, in and out of the facility. And this helps to collect data about the use of facilities. We also have fingerprint recognitions and facial recognitions, which are more related to point 3B, 4, and 5. Now, building automation systems, this is technologies used to monitor and control facilities. Now, when we look at the current situation that we're faced with COVID-19 and the need to make sure that the facility is as healthy, to make sure that the facility is as productive, but making sure that health is not compromised, we're looking at sensors and fingerprint recognition, facial recognition. An example of another digital and technology services that can be used for this is using apps actually, which have the QR code, and users just simply scan that code and can have access to the buildings. Also, the use of temperature readings are a necessity to ensure that COVID-19 is controlled. When we come to analyzing data, that technology is used to analyze data, and these include analysis systems, and one of my favorite, which is big data analysis. It's gaining quite a lot of traction, not only in the built environment, but in other industries. There is so much data available, but there is there's little analysis that actually goes into it. So the collection of data to transfer it into information is very necessary for the data analysis. Finally, we have service managing. Technologies supporting service delivery relationships and managing. This is the use and purpose of service managing. We have management, maintenance, and CRM softwares, as well as facilities management softwares, which can be used to manage services provided to the occupants. In conclusion, digitization has a very strong potential rather to improve the sustainability of facilities management. The incorporation of technology and digital avenues to enhance FM sustainability requires the consideration of the economy, environment, and society, as we have previously mentioned in the past slides. Now, the improper implementation of digitization in FM may lead to the possibility of adverse effects on the sustainability. Therefore, we need to make sure that the team that is implementing digitization in FM has experience in this kind of implementation, know how to maximize effectiveness and efficiency to ensure that there are lower adverse effects in sustaining the facility. Now, facilities managers also need to be well versed in the use and implementation of digital strategies. Now, when we look at this, we're considering training of facilities management, facilities managers, having them connected with facility managers who have correctly implemented digital strategies. And this is something that we don't see much in Africa, the implementation of digital strategies in FM that is so definitely taken a leaf out of the book of westernized countries, which are a bit more ahead than we are in implementing digital strategies, is something that I'll highly recommend. Priority should be given to building facility occupants and ensure compatibility and an improvement in effectiveness and efficiency of the operations and occupancy. The customer or the client in this case is our number one priority. And if the building or facility does not provide comfortability and improvement in effectiveness and efficiency, and they're basically not satisfied with the management of the building, we have a high chance of occupants seeking another building that lives up to their standards. And finally, the implementation of digital solutions and technologies should be monitored regularly and adjusted accordingly to optimize sustainability. This goes back to the table that we had in the SFM framework rather, and this is something that I would recommend facilities managers to basically use as a blueprint when it comes to ensuring that everything is working accordingly and the implementation is constantly monitored and adjusted to optimize sustainability, to optimize occupant satisfaction, and to ensure comfortability, efficiency, and definitely effectiveness, but also to ensure that the environment and, well, this is the environment and the economy as well as the social, as well as the society is taken into consideration. That's the end of the presentation. I thank you for tuning in to my short presentation, and I'm very much welcome. I very much welcome I very much welcome comments and queries. I've put down my email address. I've put down my cell phone address as well, and I'm open and ready to connect with each one of you who are looking at partnering in facilities management ventures, who are looking for more information. I am looking forward to hearing from you. I hope you enjoyed the presentation, and thank you so much for being a part of it.